Hello Tanga, welcome to Gully Classroom. This is the fifth lecture in the chapter Agriculture. In the chapter Agriculture, this is the fifth lecture. CBSE 10th standard in Geography, chapter 4 Agriculture. This is our fifth lecture. Sir, what are we going to learn in this particular lecture? We are going to learn what are the different ways in which our Indian government helped to improve agriculture in our country. What are the different measures that they did? What are the different programs that they did? And what are the issues that are faced by agriculturists today? And what are the issues that are faced by agriculturists today? We will start from independence and end right to today's contemporary India. Okay, can we start from independence? After independence, in India, most of the land was present in the hands of landlords or zamindars. They were the ones who were actually doing agriculture, and they employed a lot of farmers under them to do the actual farming. The zamindar will employ a lot of farmers to do the actual farming. This is an unsustainable system. And India needed institutional reform, a reform that is going to change the fundamental way in which agriculture is being done, a reform which will change the fundamental way in which agriculture is being done. So, India after independence launched a 5-year plan. Sir, what is a 5-year plan? In a 5-year plan is a plan in which the government of India will try to improve one particular industry by focusing all its resources in it. This idea was taken from our Russian counterparts. Right. So the first 5-year plan's main focus was land reforms, where they were doing collectivization and consolidation of land holdings. Sir, what is collectivization and consolidation of land holdings? It is a process in which the lot of lands that were present with the zamindar or landlord was collected and distributed among the landless farmers. So who pioneered this idea? One of the ardent followers of Gandhiji, Vinoba Bhave, is a pioneer of this idea. So how did they accomplish this? He inspired a lot of zamindars to give land to the landless farmers. Also, they had an act called as Land Ceiling Act. With respect to the Land Ceiling Act, each and every farmer must not hold more than a given amount of land. Each and every farmer must not hold more than a particular amount of land. So the zamindars were forced to give the excess land that they cannot manage to the other landless farmers. The zamindars were forced to give the excess land that they could not manage to the other landless farmers. Because of this, all the farmers got their due. So with the cooperation of farmers, the entire system of zamindari was abolished. With the cooperation of farmers and institutional reforms, the entire system of zamindari was abolished. This entire thing with Vinoba Bhave doing distribution of lands was called as a bloodless revolution, because it is essentially a revolution that did not shed a drop of blood but changed the entire way in which agriculture in India was being practiced. Right? After this revolution, zamindari system was no longer practiced. Everybody was working on their own lands. Okay, sir. Then how did Indian government improve our agriculture? Around the year 1960s and 1970s, Indian government introduced agricultural reforms. With the help of these agricultural reforms, Green Revolution and White Revolution was kick-started. Green Revolution took place more or less in the Punjab region, in the Ganga Satluj region. Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, in the Ganga Satluj region, they introduced Green Revolution, where they adopted modern methods and technologies, HYV seeds, high yield variety seeds, along with tractors, irrigation facilities, pesticides, manure and fertilizers were used in large amount, which increased the wheat production in these areas. Manifold. Which increase the wheat production in these areas? Manifold. Sir, what about white revolution, sir? White revolution is how India increased the amount of milk it is producing. White revolution is a project of India's NDDB. Sir, what is NDDB? National Dairy Development Board. NDDB, National Dairy Development Board. So, India at first was a milk deficient nation, but White Revolution converted milk deficient nation India into the world's largest milk producer. In fact, in 1998, we surpassed USA in our total milk production. In the year 2010-2011, 17% of the total world's global milk output was given by India. 17% of the total world's milk output was given by India. Such was the development that was done by White Revolution. Essentially, White Revolution was spearheaded by a cooperative society. Anyway, it is a lesson in itself how White Revolution changed the way milk is being produced in India. Is a revolution. It is a story. It is a very, very interesting story by itself. Yeah. Okay, anyway. But since we are not going to study only about White Revolution, let us go for what were the features of Comprehensive Development Program introduced in 1980s by the government. Right? So in India, the government is introducing crop insurance against droughts, cyclones, fire and disease. Also, they are opening a lot of Grameen banks and cooperative societies in the villages. And these banks and societies are giving all the villages and farmers loans at very low interest rate. Also, they are introducing KCC, Kisan Credit Card, and PAIS, Personal Accident Insurance Scheme. KCC, Kisan Credit Card, and PAIS, Personal Accident Insurance Scheme. Then, in addition to KCC and PAIS, our Indian government is introducing special weather bulletins and other farmer-oriented programs that are telecasted in television and radio. Also, they are setting MSP, minimum support price and procurement price, so that the middleman will not cheat the farmers. Who need to get their own entire money, who need to get their due. So, these are the ways in which the Comprehensive Development Program introduced by the government helped the farmers. And this is not just one single phase. The another phase is Indian government, they modernized agriculture. In order to modernize agriculture, they established ICAR. What is ICAR? Indian Council of Agricultural Research. And in ICAR, they are doing research and development on veterinary services, animal breeding, weather forecasting and horticultural development. And they are opening a lot of agricultural universities. Wow, so the government is doing a lot of things. Am I right, sir? Sir, did agriculture in India improve? That is the conundrum here. That is the problem here. Why? Agriculture in India is the backbone of our economy. Indian agriculture is the backbone of our economy. But after 1950s, the GDP provided by agriculture is slowly declining. After 1950s, agriculture's GDP, gross domestic product, is showing a declining trend. It is slowly decreasing. In 2010 and 2011, 52% of our population is working in agriculture. That's more or less half of our population is working in agriculture. Even then, the GDP of agriculture is gradually declining. Why is this happening? Okay, this is happening due to certain issues faced by agriculture. Let us look at some of these issues. The issues are agriculture is not generating sufficient employment opportunities. Also, there is a heavy competition for land. Rather than using it for agriculture, people want to build their houses on land. Hence, the net sown area used in agriculture is slowly decreasing. The net sown area in agriculture is slowly decreasing, declining. And because people nowadays are repeatedly using a lot of chemical fertilizers, the land is losing its fertility. The land productivity is decreasing. Land is degrading because of repeated use of fertilizers and pesticides. Soil degradation is happening. Because of soil degradation, poor soil productivity is happening, and the farmers are not able to get their investment back. The farmers are not able to get their investment back in a sustainable manner. Also, the government gave free power to farmers. With the free power, the farmers are unsustainably pumping a lot of groundwater, and this unsustainable pumping of groundwater is resulting in depletion of underground aquifers. Underground water is drawn from underground aquifers because we are simply pumping water without any consideration to the restoration of water to these said aquifers, without any thought to the restoration of water to these aquifers. What is happening? These underground aquifers are getting deleted because of the insufficient water management. Periodic scarcity of water is also happening. Periodic scarcity is happening. Okay, we are having inadequate storage, marketing facilities, and production and market uncertainties. Two things are inadequate. We are not having enough storage. Inadequate storage. We are not having enough marketing facilities. Also, we have production and market uncertainties. What is production and market uncertainties? We are producing, let's say, a lot of tomatoes and taking it to the market because tomato rate is good. Just when we get to the market, we are noticing that tomato no longer has a high price. Tomato price is dead cheap. Now, we will be having tons and tons of tomatoes, and all the economic value of these tomatoes will be less than the earth, than the mud. In such a situation, there is no other go but to do distress selling. What is distress selling? Selling tomatoes at a dead cheap rate. You will want to unload the tomatoes at any price. Because of this, flooding of the product happens and the price of tomatoes goes even down. Okay. Such kind of happenings are very common in farming. Such kind of situations are very common in farming. Also in farming, fertilizers and HYV seeds, high yield variety seeds command very high prices. Similarly, because all the produce is reaching the market simultaneously, the supply is high. We are having a lot of tomatoes, but the demand for the said tomatoes is very low. Our supply is high. We are having a lot of tomatoes, but the demand for the said tomatoes is very low. This results in distress selling, and this is indeed destroying the economy of small farmers. And there can be no food security without the security of small farmers. There can be no food security without the security of small farmers, right? That more or less completes our lecture. In order to study this lecture, you need to study this lecture by giving importance to two questions. What are the two questions, sir? You need to study what were the comprehensive development programs that were introduced by the government for the farmers. You need to remember about crop insurance, how we are opening cooperative societies, Grameen banks that give loans at low interest rate. You need to remember KCC, Kisan Credit Card, PAIS, Personal Accident Insurance Scheme, about weather bulletins, MSP and procurement prices. This will form an important question. What is the next thing that you need to give importance to? What are the issues faced by the farmers? About agriculture, not giving enough employment opportunities, competition for land degradation, depleting aquifers, high priced HYV seeds and fertilizers, incomplete storage, undistressed sales, incomplete storage, undistressed sales. Yeah, that more or less complete the lecture. Completes the lecture. Hope you guys enjoyed this lecture. If you like this video, obviously click the bell icon. Recommend our channel to your friends. Yeah. Cheers and thank you. Thank you for listening to this lecture. Yeah. Cheers and thank you. Cheers and thank you. Bye.